Your OpenAPI endpoints have clear, descriptive operation IDs, but the auto-generated MCP component names look like cryptic internal identifiers. We'll see how to explicitly map operation IDs to clean, meaningful names that make your MCP server intuitive for both developers and AI models. The pattern uses a simple dictionary to override the default naming strategy, giving you full control over how each endpoint appears in the MCP interface.
MCP equals FastMCP from OpenAPI. OpenAPI spec equals spec. Client equals client. MCP names equals. List users with pagination. User list. Create user admin required. Create user. Get user details admin required. User detail.
This demonstrates the OpenAPI to MCP transformation pattern, where an existing REST API specification is automatically converted into an MCP-compatible interface. The pattern bridges the gap between traditional HTTP APIs and AI-native protocols, allowing language models to interact with REST endpoints through MCP's standardized tooling system. What makes this distinctive is its ability to preserve the semantic meaning of API operations while adapting them to MCP's component model. The transformation works through declarative mapping rules that analyze OpenAPI metadata, like operation IDs, HTTP methods, and path structures, to determine the most appropriate MCP component type for each endpoint. By providing custom name mappings, you maintain control over the exposed interface while letting the framework handle the heavy lifting of schema conversion, parameter handling, and protocol adaptation. This separation of concerns keeps your API logic intact while enabling AI integration. This approach matters because it eliminates the need to manually rewrite or wrap existing APIs for AI consumption. Instead of creating parallel MCP implementations, you leverage your existing OpenAPI documentation as the single source of truth. The pattern is particularly valuable for legacy systems or complex APIs where manual conversion would be error-prone, though it trades some optimization potential for rapid integration. The result is faster prototyping and broader API accessibility for AI agents. Let's break it down line by line.
MCP equals FastMCP from OpenAPI.
This instantiates FastMCP using its OpenAPI factory method. It auto-generates AI-callable tools from your OpenAPI spec, eliminating manual schema definitions. The pattern ensures your API contract stays the single source of truth for both code and AI integration.
OpenAPI spec equals spec.
This passes the OpenAPI specification document that defines all available API endpoints, parameters, and schemas. FastMCP uses this to auto-generate type-safe tool interfaces, eliminating manual endpoint configuration.
Client equals client.
This injects the HTTP client instance that FastMCP will use for all API calls. Without it, the tools would have no way to communicate with your backend service.
MCP names equals.
The MCP names parameter maps OpenAPI operation IDs to simpler, more readable tool names. This eliminates verbose API identifiers in your codebase, making tools easier to reference and maintain. FastMCP uses these names to generate clean, predictable tool identifiers for AI models.
List users with pagination. User list.
This maps the OpenAPI operation, list users with pagination, to a cleaner MCP tool name, user list. The renaming simplifies AI tool calls while preserving the original API's functionality.
Create user admin required. Create user.
This maps the OpenAPI operation, create user admin required, to a cleaner MCP toolname, createUser. The renaming removes redundant suffixes while preserving the core functionality, keeping the AI interface simpler and more intuitive.
Get user details admin required. User detail.
This maps the OpenAPI operation, getUserDetailsAdmin required, to a cleaner MCP toolname, userDetail. The renaming simplifies the AI-facing interface while preserving the original API contract, following FastMCP's convention for human-readable toolnames. This closing brace terminates the MCP names dictionary, finalizing the mapping between OpenAPI operation IDs and their simplified MCP toolnames. This pattern enables cleaner tool references in AI workflows while maintaining the original API's explicit operation identifiers. Closes the FastMCP. From OpenAPI, constructor call, finalizing the MCP instance with the specified OpenAPI spec, client, and renamed tool endpoints. This is the standard Python syntax for ending multi-line function calls, ensuring all parameters are properly passed before instantiation. OpenAPI naming control. The MCP names dictionary gives you explicit control over component naming when generating MCP servers from OpenAPI specs, overriding the default slugification of operation IDs. Names are still slugified and truncated to 56 characters, even when manually specified. Use this to create consistent, meaningful names across your API surface.
The name that resists the system becomes the system.